Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about fractional algebra. So this is the second video of our three-part video. We're going to go through all the common algebra things that you need to know. Okay, so when it comes to fractional algebra, it looks something like this, like this, like this. There are a few variations. We're going to go through all. So our number one rule is we need to achieve a state where there is no fractions. How we commonly do this is either through cross multiply, or we times the whole equation with the common denominator. Now clearly this is the more superior way, but this one will work for many cases. You will see why later. Once we achieve a state where there's no fraction, meaning everything is in one line, what we're going to do is we're going to achieve no brackets. That means if there's anything they need to expand, just expand everything. And then we're going to achieve this something equals 0. That means all the terms should be on one side. We're going to shift it over. And in most cases, for secondary school at least, we're going to look at a quadratic here, or more, or simpler. It's either a quadratic or linear. Okay, so if it's a quadratic, we're going to just use our typical b squared minus 4ac thing, our quadratic formula. We're just going to solve. Okay, so let's start with the question. So our first question we're going to look at today is something like this. You can see that it has a fraction here. So our first fraction, no fraction rule, we're going to do this. So we can do it through cross multiply. In this case, we're just going to multiply the x over. Right, so it's 2x times x minus 3 times x. So I'm going to get this. Then at the same time, I'm going to shift this 2 over to have the equal 0. So I'm already at this stage now. Some quadratic equals 0. A will be 2, B is minus 3, C is minus 2. I'm going to whack it all inside. Press our calculator, mode 33 or mode 22, depending on your calculator. That's the answer. Okay. Our next question is something like this. Again, is a fraction equal to a fraction. So again, no fraction, right? So we need to do cross multiplication. So we are looking at this times this, which is this, and then this times this, which will give me this. So we are at this stage, no brackets. It happens to have no bracket already. I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to shift this 2 over to the right side. I tend to like to keep my x squared positive. That's why I choose to minus this 2 over here. This box means here. So my job is to teach you how to do, not to do the working. I have better things to do. So you go and put it in the formula, mod 22, blah blah blah, 3SF. Okay, so for this question, it is actually the same case. Right, this 2, you must know that it's the same. Just that I'm going to shift this fraction to the other side, and hence I'm going to get this. Now at this stage, you can see that these 2 are exactly the same. So we're going to cross multiply here, cross multiply here. This 2 I'm going to minus over. I tend to like to keep my x squared positive. I have the something quadratic equals 0. Whack into the formula, press our calculator. Okay, so the next question is slightly different. Before that, I could move this fraction over and cross multiply, but I cannot do this. I cannot do the same trick here because of the 2 here. If this is 0, it's fine. I can just move it over, cross multiply. But the fact that this is not 0, I can't do that anymore. So in this case, we have to do our next tactic. Multiply both sides by the common denominator. In this case, the common denominator will be the 2 denominators times together. So I'm writing it here so it's easy to see. And then I'm going to multiply the whole equation by this. Okay, so let's do this. This is the first time we're doing. I'm going to go a bit slower. So I'm taking these 2 brackets times this term. Now clearly this and this is going to cancel. I'm left with x times this. That's why it is here. Okay, for this fraction, again, I'm going to take the whole fraction, including the minus sign. I'm going to multiply by this. So as expected, this and this is going to cancel. I'm left with minus 2 times this. That's what over here. And for 2, if I multiply by this 2 bracket, I'm just going to get 2 times this whole thing, like that. So at this stage, I have no fractions. I have tons of brackets. I'm going to multiply everything like that. Again, then I'm going to shift this few to the right side because I like to keep this positive. So I'm at this stage, quadratic equals 0. Here, something quadratic equals 0. Formula, mode 33. Okay, so this will be the more difficult version because this requires a lot of expansion, and most of you all cannot survive until the end. You know how to do it, but you can't do it right. Okay. Next one, this is actually quite simple. You can see that there's already no fraction, so it's fine. We've got brackets, so we're going to multiply, we're going to expand everything. Just take note that this is actually 7 minus a bracket. So it's 7 minus 2 and minus x. So that's why it's plus x. So there's nothing to multiply here actually. So once we have this, again, I'm going to minus all these terms to the left. I'm going to get something equals 0, blah, 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 solve. Okay, so the next question, we are back to this. Again, look at the equals 0 here. Once you have equals 0, you want to shift this over and then cross multiply to get this. Expand this to get no brackets. Once you get this, you're going to shift the 18 over, equals 0, and then formula, mode 33. Next question, you notice that this is not equal to 0, so I cannot shift this over. So what I do is I'm going to multiply everything by the common denominator. So this is the common denominator, it comes from these two denominators. So effectively, if you do this enough, you start realizing that it's always going to be this time this, this time this. It looks like cross multiply, but it's not, right? So again, I've already explained just now. Okay, so it ends up with this times this minus this times this. That's why it's over here. And then the 1 is going to multiply by the entire denominator to get this one. So same thing, expand, shift one side, equals 0, formula, mode 33. Now this is exactly the same case. I'm going to end up with this time this here, this time this here, and this 1 is going to times the common denominator. Again, I have so many brackets, expand everything, shift to one side equals 0. In this case, you notice that there's no x term. So it simply means that the b is equal to 0. So your a is 2, your b is 0, and your c is minus 4. So same thing, whack it inside, you can solve. Another way you can do this is you can move the 4 over, divide. Maybe I can just do it here. So I'm going to shift the 4 over, both sides divide by 2. And then I'm going to square root both sides. So that is possible also, up to you. Okay, so we're at the last two questions now. So this one is a little bit more strange, right? I have a number here. So in this case, I can combine this one to get a fraction equal to a fraction, and then I'm going to cross multiply. So to combine this 1 here, I'd like to see this as 3 over 3. Why 3 over 3, not 4 over 4? Because the denominator is already 3. So this denominator 3, this denominator 3, if I sort of combine it, it's just x minus 4 plus 3. So here, of course here no change. I simplify a little bit. I'm at this stage. Fraction equal fraction, cross multiply, blah blah blah, move to the left, equals 0, formula, press calculator, done. Okay, so this one looks very scary. So again, we go to the same principles. I see tons of fractions, so first rule is no fractions. I'm going to multiply this 3x plus 7 over to the other side. This is like cross multiply, right? This is cross multiply in essence. So I'm at here. I'm going to multiply this, no brackets, I'm going to multiply to get this, and then everything shift to the left to get equals 0. Same thing, blah blah blah. Okay, so by now you have heard me say almost the exact same thing for 10 questions. So really hope you have learned something today. Thank you and bye bye.